The galactic empire stretched across thousands of star systems, its banners hanging proudly over worlds both rich and poor. To the common people of the empire, it felt like nothing could ever challenge its power. For centuries, the imperial fleets had conquered, absorbed, or erased any civilization that dared to resist. History was written by the victors, and in the pages of imperial history, humans were no more than a footnote, an extinct species that had once fought but lost long ago. Or at least, that was what everyone believed. The discovery began with a routine expedition. Captain Varos of the Imperial Survey Corps sat in the command chair of his sleek exploration vessel, Orcs. The ship was not a warship, but its sensors were among the most advanced in the Empire. His task was simple: chart unexplored regions near the edges of known space, looking for resources or habitable planets that could be claimed by the Emperor. Most of the time, such missions were boring. Empty worlds, asteroid belts, barren moons, these were the usual finds. But on the third week of his mission, something unusual happened. "Captain," said Sensor Officer Reen, his eyes wide as he studied the glowing display, "we're picking up transmissions. Structured signals. They're faint, but definitely artificial." Varos raised an eyebrow. "Out here? That's impossible. This sector is dead space." "The charts show nothing." Reen shook his head. "Charts may be wrong. These are organized communications. Repeating patterns, multiple frequencies encrypted." Varos leaned forward. "Encrypted? Who would be out here hiding?" The Orcs changed course, engines burning as it followed the source of the mysterious signals. Hours turned into days, and finally a planet appeared on their scopes. It was not barren like so many others. It glowed with life. Oceans shimmered blue under its sun. Vast continents spread with green forests, golden plains, and cities. Yes, cities, lit with power grids visible from orbit. The crew stared at the display in silence. "This world, it's populated," whispered Reen, "not just small colonies. Look at those megacities. Millions, no, billions of people down there." Varos frowned. How could the Empire not know of this? A world this large, this developed, should have been registered centuries ago. Then the computer translated the faint signals. Varos froze when the words appeared on his screen. Language, Human Standard Terran. The crew gasped. For a long moment no one spoke. "That's impossible," said Lieutenant Mira, her voice shaking. "Humans are extinct. The Empire crushed them in the first expansion wars. Their homeworld was destroyed. They're gone." Varos's eyes narrowed. "And yet their language is alive, spoken on this world." The officers exchanged uneasy looks. Everyone in the Empire had heard the story of humanity. They were a stubborn, warlike race that had refused to bow when the Empire expanded into their region. For decades they fought, inflicting painful losses before finally being overwhelmed. Their scattered survivors were believed to have perished in the cold void of space. To discover them alive, thriving in secret, it was not just unexpected, it was dangerous. Varos made his decision. "Prepare a landing team. We need to see these humans with our own eyes." The shuttle descended through the atmosphere, cutting through clouds that glowed orange in the setting sun. From above, the surface looked breathtaking. Fields of wheat waving in the wind, rivers glimmering like silver threads, and cities filled with tall spires that caught the light. This was not the image of a desperate, dying species. This was the sight of a people who had not only survived but built something greater. The shuttle landed outside one of the vast cities. Structures rose like towers of steel and glass, surrounded by humming energy shields and defensive turrets. To the surprise of the Imperial team, human starships patrolled the skies, sleek vessels of unfamiliar design, bristling with weapon mounts. When the ramp lowered, Varro stepped onto the ground with a squad of guards. The air was fresh, filled with the sounds of life. Waiting for them was a group of humans. The leader was tall, with sharp eyes that seemed to study every detail. He wore a uniform unlike any the Empire had seen, black and silver with a crest over the chest, a stylized earth surrounded by stars. "Welcome," the man said in fluent Imperial Standard. "I am Commander Elias Kane of the Legacy of Terra. You have entered our world. State your purpose." Varos stiffened. He was used to conquered peoples bowing or trembling before the Empire. These humans did neither. Their voices carried strength, their stance unshaken. "We are explorers of the Empire," Varos said carefully. "We believed your kind were gone from the galaxy." Kane's lips curved into a small, cold smile. "That is what your Empire wanted to believe. When they abandoned us to die, we endured. When they erased our name from their records, we remembered. We are not gone. We are here stronger than before. Varos exchanged glances with his officers. This was no lost tribe of scattered survivors. This was a civilization, organized, united, and proud. May we speak with your leaders? Varos asked. Kane nodded slowly. You may. But understand this, we are not subjects of your empire. We are the children of Terra, and we bow to no one. The delegation was escorted through the city, and what they saw left them unsettled. The streets were filled with people, healthy, confident, and industrious. Markets bustled, factories hummed, and schools overflowed with students. Everywhere, banners bearing the symbol of the legacy of Terra flew proudly, but it was not just the vibrancy of the city that unsettled the Imperials. It was the technology. Starships hovered above landing pads, their designs sharp and functional, radiating power. Automated drones zipped through the streets carrying goods and supplies. Massive armored vehicles patrolled with soldiers in advanced battlesuits. This is impossible, whispered Lieutenant Mera. They were supposed to be primitive. They should be centuries behind us at best. How did they do this? Varos said nothing, but inside his mind raced. If humanity had truly built all this in secret, hidden from the galaxy for centuries, then the Empire had underestimated them beyond imagination. At last, they were led into a grand hall. There, on a raised platform, sat the Council of the Legacy. Men and women in dignified robes watched the Imperials with calm but sharp eyes. An older woman spoke first. We know who you are. We know what your empire has done. And we know why you are here. You did not come to welcome us, you came to measure us. Varos did not deny it. We came because the galaxy believes you extinct. If humanity still lives, it changes everything. The woman's gaze hardened. Humanity does not just live, we thrive. We have grown in the shadows, preparing for the day when the stars would remember us. That day has come. Her words echoed through the hall, filled with quiet strength. Varos felt a chill. This was no forgotten people. This was a storm waiting to break. When the Imperials returned to their ship, the crew whispered nervously. Some were excited, others afraid. The Empire had ruled unchallenged for so long, but here, in this hidden corner of the galaxy, a power had risen. A power with the face of a species once thought erased. Varos stood at the viewport staring down at the glowing world. Humans, he murmured, alive and thriving. He knew the Empire would demand answers. But deep inside, he also knew something else. This discovery would not end in peace. For a people who had once endured betrayal and destruction, survival was only the beginning. The legacy of Terra was not just a remnant. It was a warning, and the galaxy would soon learn what it meant for humanity to rise again. The Orcs drifted in orbit above the newly discovered human world. Its crew moved quietly, but the silence inside the ship was heavy with unspoken tension. Every officer, every crew member, knew they had witnessed something extraordinary, something dangerous. Humans, alive, thriving. Captain Varos had already sent an encrypted report back to the Empire, but he kept it brief. He left out certain details not out of disloyalty but out of caution. If the Emperor knew everything at once, the Empire might act recklessly, and Varos wanted time to study this civilization before warships arrived. On the bridge, his officers gathered around the glowing display of the planet below. They are not what we expected, said Lieutenant Mera, her voice low. Look at those energy grids, those defense platforms in orbit. They are not just a hidden colony. They are a power. Sensor Officer Reen nodded grimly. I scanned deeper into their networks. They've built orbital shipyards, massive ones, hundreds of docks circling the planet, many hidden behind stealth fields. If I didn't push the scanners to maximum, we wouldn't have seen them. Varos frowned. How advanced? Reen hesitated. Their ships are not like ours. The design is heavier, reinforced. Weapons arrays are larger, reactors more compact. I would say their technology matches ours. In some areas, perhaps even exceeds it. The words hung in the air like a blade. For centuries, the Empire believed itself unmatched. The thought of another civilization being equal or worse, stronger, was almost unthinkable. Varos spoke slowly. You are suggesting they have a fleet equal to the Empire's? Not equal in numbers, Reen replied. But in quality, yes. And if their colonies are real, they may have more ships hidden across other systems. We simply don't know. The officers exchanged uneasy looks. humanity once thought extinct, had returned not as beggars but as warriors in waiting. The next day, Commander Elias Kane invited the Imperial delegation back to the surface. This time, instead of a city, they were taken to a vast plain where a towering structure rose into the sky. It was a launch facility miles wide, filled with rows of starships. Varos and his officers stood on a platform as they watched massive vessels being constructed. Automated cranes moved with precision, welding armor plates and fitting weapons. Engines the size of towers were lowered into place. The ships gleamed in the sunlight, symbols of the legacy of Terra painted proudly on their hulls. "These are our guardians," Kane said, his voice calm but firm. "Each ship represents years of labor, innovation, and sacrifice. We do not build for conquest. We build to ensure no one can ever erase us again." Varos studied the nearest ship. It was larger than most Imperial destroyers, its hull layered with armored plating. Rows of rail cannons lined its sides, supported by missile silos and energy beam emitters. Its engines glowed with an intensity that suggested unusual efficiency. "What is its class?" Varos asked. Kane's lips curled faintly.
"That is the Aegis, a battlecruiser."
"One of many." Varos's mind raced. If this was just one type, what else did they have? Kane seemed to read his thoughts. "We know what your empire believes about us, that we were erased, forgotten. But survival taught us a lesson your rulers never understood. Strength is not in numbers alone. It is in will, and humanity's will is unbroken." That evening, Varos dined with several human council members. The food was rich, grown in vast fields that stretched across fertile lands. Unlike many Imperial colonies that depended on imported resources, the humans seemed self-sufficient. Counselor Mara, a sharp-eyed woman with silver hair, leaned toward Varos during the meal. "You are here because the Empire will soon come, are you not?" "They will not tolerate our independence." Varos hesitated. He could not speak openly against the Empire, but neither could he lie. "The Empire does not ignore threats. And we are a threat," Mara said, not as a question but as a fact. Varos remained silent. Mara's gaze hardened. "We remember the betrayal. When the Empire struck us centuries ago, they thought we would scatter and die. But we adapted. We hid, we rebuilt. We taught our children never to forget. That is why we live stronger now than before." Her words carried not hatred but pride, a pride that unsettled Varos more than anger ever could. Back on the Orcs, the crew whispered about what they had seen. Some were afraid, others fascinated. Rumors spread quickly. Humans had warships hidden across the stars. Humans had weapons the Empire could not match. Humans had not only survived, but prepared for revenge. One evening, Varos walked through the mess hall and overheard two young crewmen speaking. "They say the humans have ships larger than dreadnoughts," one whispered. "Larger?" The other scoffed. "Impossible. The Empire's dreadnoughts are the greatest in the galaxy." "Maybe once," the first replied, lowering his voice. "But what if the humans have surpassed us? What if they waited for this moment?" Varos did not interrupt, but the words gnawed at him. Whispers of human strength were spreading, and once such whispers reached the Empire's higher command, fear would turn into aggression. A week later, Kane took Varos to a hidden valley deep in the mountains. There, an enormous hangar opened beneath the earth, revealing something even more shocking. A ship unlike any Varos had ever seen rested within. Its size dwarfed the mountains around it, stretching for kilometers. Its hull was black and silver, its surface bristling with weapon arrays, shield emitters, and hangar bays. "This is the Helios," Kane said quietly. "Our first planet guard ship, built to stand against an empire." Varos felt his breath catch. This is a fortress. No single world should be able to build something like this." Kane's eyes were cold. "No single world did. We are not one planet, Captain. The legacy of Terra reaches across hidden colonies united in silence for centuries. We built in secret, waiting for the day your kind returned, and now here you are." Varos realized the truth then. The Empire had not discovered a forgotten people. The humans had revealed themselves on purpose. They wanted the Empire to see their strength. Back on the Orcs, Varos gathered his senior officers. "They are far stronger than the Empire expects," he said. "If war comes, it will not be simple. Their fleets may not equal ours in number, but in quality. They could cut through us." Mara looked unsettled. "What do we do, Captain? Report everything?" Pharaoh shook his head. We report the truth, but carefully. If the Emperor believes they are weak, he will rush into war and bleed the Empire. If he believes they are too strong, he may order extermination. Either way, humanity is prepared. Reen leaned forward. Do you think they want war? Pharaoh thought of Cain's words, of Mara's pride, of the colossal Helios gleaming in its hidden hangar. He shook his head slowly. No, they do not want war, but they will never submit. And if the Empire pushes them... His voice trailed off, but the officers understood. If pushed, humanity would fight. And if they fought, the galaxy might never be the same again. That night, Varro stood at the viewport once more, gazing down at the glowing world below. It no longer looked like just another planet. It looked like a sleeping giant, waiting for the right moment to rise. Whispers of human strength echoed in his mind. Whispers that would soon spread across the Empire, and whispers he knew had the power to ignite fear. Fear that could lead to war. The Galactic Empire was vast, but it was also fragile. Its rule stretched across thousands of systems, yet the strength of its control lay in the illusion of superiority. The discovery of humanity's survival, and worse, their thriving hidden civilization, shook that illusion to its core. When Captain Varos's initial report reached the Imperial High Council, it was not met with calm discussion. It was met with panic. In the grand hall of the Imperial capital, nobles, generals, and councilors gathered in heated debate. Holoscreens projected images of the human world, its cities glowing with power, its fleets rising from hidden docks, and most shocking of all, the colossal Helios, humanity's planet guard ship. This is unacceptable, thundered High General Kern. A lost race, presumed extinct, daring to build fleets in secret? This is rebellion against the Emperor's order. They were never under the Emperor's order to begin with, countered Admiral Saris, a rare voice of caution. They were abandoned centuries ago, left to die. Is it rebellion to survive? Councillor Vera slammed a hand on the table. Survival is one thing. Building an armada in the shadows is another. They did not merely endure, they prepared. This is not coincidence. This is defiance. The Emperor himself, a man cloaked in shimmering robes of authority, finally raised his hand. The hall fell silent. His voice was calm, but beneath it was steel. The galaxy believes humans extinct. If word spreads that they live and thrive, it will inspire unrest. Every oppressed world, every enslaved people will see in them hope of resistance. That cannot be allowed. Whispers rippled through the chamber. Some favored diplomacy, others demanded war. But all agreed on one truth. Humanity had become too dangerous to ignore. The Emperor leaned forward, his eyes cold. Send a fleet. A strong one. They must be reminded that the Empire is eternal. If they resist, burn their world. Back on the human homeworld, the legacy of Terra prepared as if they had heard the Emperor's words already. In truth, they did not need to hear them. They knew the Empire's nature. Commander Elias Kane stood at the command deck of the Aegis, watching crews finish final preparations. Around him, officers moved with discipline. None of them showed fear. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. Status report, Kane ordered. Shields at full strength. Rail batteries loaded. Fighter wings fueled and armed. The Aegis is battle-ready, replied his first officer, Captain Rowan. Kane nodded, though his mind was heavy. He knew war was coming. The Imperials were not blind, they had seen too much. The Council of the Legacy gathered in the capital city. Leaders, scientists, and generals filled the great chamber. Councillor Mara spoke firmly. The Empire will not ignore us. Their pride cannot allow a forgotten people to rise from the ashes. The question is not if they will come, but when. General Haran, an old warrior with a scar across his face, grunted. Then let them come. We have been waiting for centuries. Our fleets are ready. Our people are united. The Empire will learn that humanity does not kneel. But another counselor, younger and more cautious, raised a hand. If we resist openly, the Empire will send everything they have. Do not underestimate their numbers. Even our strength has limits. Mara looked at him sharply. And if we kneel, we return to chains. Is that what you want? To hand our children back to the ones who betrayed us? Silence followed. No one wanted that. Finally, Kane spoke. We cannot win by numbers. But we can win by will. If we show the galaxy that the Empire can bleed, others will rise. The Empire rules by fear. Break that fear, and the stars will turn against them. The Council agreed. humanity would stand firm. Meanwhile, on the Orcs, Captain Varos watched uneasily as events spiraled toward conflict. The humans treated him with respect, but he could feel the tension growing. Rumors spread through his crew that an Imperial fleet was already on its way. One evening, Kane invited Varos to speak privately. The two men met on a balcony overlooking the sprawling capital. "You have seen what we are," Kane said quietly. "You know we do not seek conquest. We only want to live free." Varos studied him carefully. "But you built warships larger than anything in the Empire. You built them in secret. That is not the act of a people who only want peace." Kane's eyes hardened. Peace cannot exist without strength. We remember what the Empire did to us. We remember the fire, the hunger, the betrayal. If we had remained weak, we would have vanished. Instead, we endured. And now, when they come again, we will not be slaughtered. We will stand. Varos could not argue. The Empire had created this future with its own cruelty. Days later, the humans tested their newest weapon in full view of the Imperial observers. From orbit, the Orcs watched as the Helios powered up its systems. "Captain," Reen said nervously, "their supership is charging its main weapon." On the planet below, the Helios rose slowly into the sky, its colossal engines shaking the ground. Its hull glowed with power as an enormous cannon unfolded from its center. With a deafening roar, it fired into a barren moon orbiting nearby. The explosion lit up space like a star being born. The moon cracked, split apart, and shattered into fragments. On the bridge of the Orcs, no one spoke. Varos finally whispered, "By the stars." That was no test. That was a message, and indeed it was. The humans had revealed their trump card, not to frighten the galaxy, but to warn the Empire. "Do not come, or you will break against us." But the Empire had already chosen its path. A massive Imperial fleet gathered at the edge of the sector, dreadnoughts, cruisers, carriers, all bristling with firepower. It was the largest show of force the region had seen in decades. Admiral Vaynar, commander of the fleet, stood at the helm of his flagship, the Dominion. His orders were clear: demand human submission. If refused, annihilate them. "Humans," he scoffed, staring at the holographic image of the planet. "Forgotten vermin, pretending to be a power. We will remind them who rules the stars." But deep down, even Vaynar felt a sliver of doubt. He had seen the same images, read the same reports. The humans were not vermin. They were something else. Something dangerous. Still, the fleet advanced. Back on the human world, alarms rang as Imperial ships entered the outer system. Kane stood on the command deck of the Aegis, watching the displays light up with enemy signatures. "They're here," Rowan said grimly. "Hundreds of ships. The largest fleet we've seen." Kane's jaw tightened. "Signal the Council. Alert every colony. Deploy the defense armada." Across the skies, human warships launched from hidden docks and orbital stations. Sleek cruisers, heavy carriers, and nimble fighters filled space, forming into battle formations around the Helios. The people of Terra watched from below as their defenders rose into the heavens. Children pointed in awe, while veterans of past wars clenched their fists in pride. For the first time in centuries, humanity stood not as prey but as equals facing the galaxy's greatest power. On the Orcs, Varos felt the weight of history pressing down on him. He had been sent to explore, not to witness the spark of a galactic war. Yet here he was, trapped between two powers about to collide. His officers looked at him nervously. "What do we do, Captain?" Mira asked. Varos stared at the displays, Imperial ships on one side, human fleets on the other. He knew the truth. Whatever happened next, the galaxy would never be the same, and in that moment, as the first transmissions crackled between the Empire and the humans, Varos realized the whispers of strength were no longer whispers. They were shouts, and they would echo across the stars. The great chamber of the Imperial Council was quiet. For the first time in many centuries, silence pressed heavy upon the proud rulers of the galaxy. Every member of the council sat inside the circular hall, their jeweled robes glowing faintly under the soft lights. The throne of the High Emperor stood at the center, towering above all others. But even the Emperor himself was uneasy. The silence came because of fear. That fear was not born from some strange alien beast or unstoppable plague. It came from humans, beings who, in their records, were supposed to be long dead and forgotten. Yet here they stood, alive, strong, and thriving on a world the Empire had never claimed. Admiral Kahlor had returned from his mission with evidence. He had shown the Council recordings of human cities hidden in the jungles of the lost world. They had seen humans working, laughing, and training in great numbers. They had seen human leaders standing proud, their banners shining in sunlight. The greatest shock had been the sight of human starships lifting into the sky. Humans were not just alive. They had rebuilt their civilization, and now they were prepared to defend it. The Emperor's voice finally broke the silence. His tone was deep, though a shadow of doubt lingered behind it. So the ancient ghosts return. What is your judgment, Council? Do we crush them, or do we bow before what they have become? Whispers broke through the hall. Some of the councilors demanded war. Others urged caution. Many simply did not know what to say. For the first time in centuries, the Empire faced a power that could rival its own. Admiral Kahlor spoke with steady words. If you strike now, Emperor, you risk more than you understand. The humans do not fight with desperation. They fight with unity. They are not scattered tribes, but a single people. I have seen their leaders, their soldiers, their machines. They are ready. If you send our fleets, the war will not end in a season. It will drag on for generations. The Emperor narrowed his eyes. And what do you suggest, Admiral? Shall the Empire kneel to them? Kahlor's voice did not waver. No, Majesty. But we must treat them as equals. The Council roared in protest. The word equals burned their ears. For thousands of years, the Empire had ruled all others. No species was ever considered equal, all bent to the throne. But now the Admiral had spoken a truth none wished to face. On the lost human world, life continued. The humans had built strong cities hidden under green canopies, powered by advanced machines that glowed with blue light. Families thrived, children played, and workers built new ships in orbital docks high above the planet. Humanity had been preparing not for war, but for survival. Yet when the Empire arrived, they had turned their survival into strength. At the heart of their capital stood the Great Hall, where the Council of Humanity gathered. Leaders from every city-state sat together, bound by one goal: never again to bow to another ruler. Hera, the human commander who had faced Admiral Kahlor in the skies, stood before her council. Her voice carried the same fire it always did. The Empire debates our existence. They see us as a threat. They see us as prey. But they also fear us. That fear is our shield. We must use it wisely. Another elder, his hair white from age but his eyes sharp as steel, rose and spoke. We must be careful, Commander. Pride has destroyed empires before. The Empire is vast. If they unite their fleets, even our hidden strength may not hold forever. Hera nodded but did not waver. We are not asking for war. We are asking for respect. If they bring war to us, we will answer. But if they bring peace, we will show them that humans are not their enemies. The choice is theirs, the Human Council agreed. Envoys would be sent to the Empire, carrying words of strength, not weakness. For humanity had learned a lesson lost to time. Power was not only in weapons, but in unity and resolve. Back in the imperial capital, the Emperor faced his own choice. The debate within the council grew bitter. Some of his advisors demanded total war, to crush the humans before they spread beyond their hidden world. Others feared that such war would break the Empire itself. Finally, the Emperor called Admiral Kahlor alone into his private chambers. The great hall doors shut and the noise of the council faded away. The Emperor's face, lined with age, was weary. You have seen them more closely than anyone, Kahlor. Tell me honestly, if we fight, who wins? Kahlor took a deep breath. No one, Majesty. Not us, not them. The war would leave stars in ruins and worlds empty. We would both bleed until others rose to claim what remains. I've seen humans fight. They do not surrender, not ever. They would rather burn the skies than kneel. That is their nature. The Emperor was silent for a long time. Finally, he asked one last question. And if we do not fight? Kahlor's answer was simple. Then, Majesty, we may find in them not an enemy, but an ally stronger than any we have ever known. The Emperor's eyes closed. His choice was clear, though it went against the pride of centuries. Weeks later, the skies above the human homeworld shimmered with light. A great imperial fleet descended, but not with weapons charged. Instead, banners of truce glowed across their hulls. The humans were ready for battle. Their ships had risen in silence, hidden guns aimed at the void. But when they saw the banners, they waited. Admiral Kahlor himself stepped forth from the imperial flagship. His words carried across both fleets, amplified for all to hear. People of Earth, The Empire has discovered you alive and thriving. You have risen from the ashes stronger than before. The Emperor does not come to destroy you. He comes to recognize you." The human council listened. Era stood tall, her hand resting on the edge of her blade. "Recognition is not enough. We will not bow. We will not kneel. If the Empire wishes peace, it must be peace between equals." Kaelor nodded, "And so it shall be. From this day forward, the humans are not forgotten. You are not shadows. You are not ghosts. You are a people reborn, and the galaxy will know your strength." The message spread across the stars. The Empire, for the first time in its history, had accepted another civilization as equal. The councilors grumbled, the nobles raged, but the Emperor's word was final. Humanity was alive, thriving, and free. Years passed. The Empire and humanity did not become close friends overnight. There were disputes, arguments, and even border clashes. But respect had been built, and respect turned into cautious alliance. Human ships sailed the stars once more, not as lost wanderers, but as guardians of their people. And across the galaxy, whispers spread. If the humans can rise from the grave of history, then what else may rise? The legend of humanity became a warning and a promise. They were not the forgotten. They were not the weak. They were the survivors, the builders, the fighters who never surrendered. And in the quiet chambers of the Imperial Palace, the Emperor often thought back to that first choice. He knew the truth. If the Empire had chosen war, it would not have survived. Humanity had not only saved itself, humanity had saved the Empire from its own pride. The galaxy would never forget that humans were alive and thriving,